What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? We're back, and I'm so excited to announce this is episode 1 of First Up Magazine's ELF show. So, we're gonna do a show every week for the ELF season, and it's gonna be lit. And I'm so glad to have as my first co-host. We're gonna switch co-hosts through the year. As my first co-host, we have the ELF Live guy, the young, handsome scout from all the way up in England. How you doing, Matt?
I'm not too bad. I appreciate it. This is very short notice. I'm just coming in straight off of the ELF Live. So I'm warmed up and I'm ready. I'm ready to talk football.
Yeah, if you guys see that Matt is wearing the same shirt from the last ELF Live show, it's because it's right after ELF Live. I promise he showers sometimes.
Just every now and then.
Right, I think it's time we introduce our first guest, though. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. For episode 1, we have a head coach on the ELF, and he's one of the best coaches around Europe. He's the goated European coach. And yeah, let's just have him in. Welcome, Andrew Weidinger.
Thank you. You know what? I was like, when you said Matt, young, handsome scout, I was like, going to have to top that when they introduced me.
You didn't get a long intro.
Yeah, that was really good. That might have been a little much, but I'll take it. I'll take any praise I can get. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right. So I'm going to introduce the first segment that we're going to do. First segment is going to be Chalk Talk. Coach Andrew, as you are one of the head coaches in the NFL, or ELF, sorry, and you have a lot of experience in doing film breakdown, do it every week, a lot. I'm sure you do it a lot. We're going to have you go through a specific highlight tape right now.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, you probably remember when you interviewed Reed Sinnett in the ELF Live. He said, it was actually your question. You said, we don't have a lot of tape on you. What can we watch to see what Reed Sinnett's good in? And he said, watch the game that I started with the Miami Dolphins. So we're watching it.
Oh, there we go.
Let's go.
One thing I will say in recruiting in the ELF, if a guy says, watch the game that I started for the Miami Dolphins, I'll offer.
Yeah.
I don't even need to watch it.
You don't need to watch it.
That's enough said.
That's all he needs to say. So I don't know if I've ever even seen his tape. Like I don't know if I didn't even know who the guy was until he showed up.
Even better.
Speaking of Chalk Talk, all right. So I don't know if I don't know how heavily promoted it was. I did a little Super Bowl preview, broke down a few plays on the Zone.
Yeah,
I got to get my view numbers got to go up. I need the Zone to bring me back and do that some more. So anybody watching, just go ahead, go to the Zone, Google up my name on their whatever it is. We got to pump those views up to convince them that they got to give me a job in the off season, so my wife isn't always yelling at me to go and do something productive.
They can give me one too. We'll do it together. It'll be easy.
All right, I'm gonna hit play. Andrew, just talk over it whenever you want me to stop it or anything.
All right.
Just tell me.
Oh, it looks like okay. So I haven't seen this before. So we had a little 6-man rush. I was a little worried right there. All right, we had screen. That was easy money. Okay, here we go. Now we're talking. This is kind of NFL style football right here. All right, so go back to that. Let's take a quick look. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to look at this beforehand. Okay, but we got a little quick play action. You see how he gets his feet set and rips that thing on that in-breaking route right there. The Z, kind of like drift pass maybe. Some people call it drift pass. We call it like glance. But you could see like he gets his feet set. That ball's coming out on time. It's on a line. Those are things in our league that maybe aren't quite as important. There's more margin for error in our league, right? Because the NFL, like there's no margin for error in the NFL, right? It's the absolute best players on the planet. If you're a quarterback and you're late in the NFL, somebody's going to rip your face off, right? In our league, if you're
100%,
late, it's just more time for the receiver to get open. So, it's an interesting deal, especially, we've gone through a couple of weeks of practice now with Reed and talking through like when you come from the NFL, there's things about football. Like I know this route combo, I cannot throw it into this coverage. I know this is a problem or that's a problem. And a lot of that stuff doesn't necessarily apply over here And probably in college football, I know a lot of it doesn't apply. There's times where I hear college coaches talking about this or that on TV, and I'm like, if that was the meeting room with the coaches that I worked for in the NFL, they'd be like, just stop, like, we'll handle this. So there's the margin for error is something that we keep working through, and how to approach plays a little bit differently here in Europe versus how you got to approach them in the NFL. But I think this tape clearly shows the guy's got a very strong arm, very capable of throwing in rhythm. He's got, holy smokes, right there, looking to making a miss.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about too. Look at the mobility.
Yeah, he's not. Now, don't get me wrong. Let's not get too carried away with the six. Reed's mobility now.
Yeah.
But no offense, Reed. I'm sure he's like, what's he talking about? But just a great job of keeping his eyes downfield, finding a guy down the field there, escape. Those are things that you can't coach, right? Like extending plays, finding somebody, taking the hit like a champ. It looks like he's dying right there. He survived. We talk about that constantly. Like, don't take a hit. Look at that. Everybody's so happy. Weed's about dead on the side or on the field out there.
Let's look back at this, because this was to win the game. Escaping the tackle
on 4th and 15 as well.
From the 50, 4th and 15.
Hangs in,
just
takes
driving
the shot, finds the dude in the end zone. I mean, that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's just good. There is no coaching involved there. That's what I like. Players you don't really have to tell anything to. And that's a big part of over here. There's a lot of I tend to coach all the skill position guys, or as much as I can, right? And having one guy who I don't need to say a word to, because he's had better coaches than me coaching him his whole life. That's extremely important, and it helps everybody else get better, because I'm not wasting time saying anything to Reed, and he can help coach the younger quarterbacks too. And so I can focus on coaching those other guys. I know the quarterback position is handled. Like, he's been awesome, and he'll continue to be awesome as we go through the season.
How's he been as a leader in this offense so far?
He's been great, absolutely great. And the guy's a lifetime quarterback, and so that's either. It's kind of like it's taught to you that you need to be the leader of the offense, but it's not necessarily everybody, right? Like some guys, they are the leader, and some guys they're not. And you got to play into the strengths of your personality. And his personality is one of a leader. And then obviously over here, a lot of the A's that show up that are clearly very good football players, people gravitate on any football team. They gravitate to the best players, and Reed's embraced that, and he's done an awesome job. And like I said, hopefully, he'll continue to do that throughout the whole season. I know he will.
Nice.
Yeah, because you said about me and you talked in the offseason, you said about having a quarterback who has experience with extensive playbooks. So, like, what's the kind of scheme you're going to run this year? Because you've had different kind of players all around every single year. You've had different personnel all over the offense.
Yeah. We've had kind of my first year in Europe, we were an option run team. My second year, we were like a 90% pass team. And then if we needed to run, like, hey, Zach, go run and make something happen for us. And then the last 2 years were very much an NFL style, shift motion, formation you to death, run, play, action team. And the first year was run, play, action. And then last year was run and then run again. And that's part of what I take pride in that. I enjoy adjusting the offense to play into the strengths of the guys that we have. One thing I thought going into last year was the first time that I could do. We didn't have to start from square zero, right? And it's hard to start from square zero, given the volume of what we do, because there's so much stuff and there's no off-season program. We don't have in the NFL. They've got phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Like, you cover this stuff constantly before you even get into training camp, where you cover it again. And not having that can make a playbook like ours extremely difficult. But having a quarterback who's been through that, who understands that, and can add to that, we're watching tape like, hey, have you guys ever run this? Have you ever run that? That's extremely important. So we're adjusting. We've got we'll have a little new flavor this year, because there's definitely it's a different mix of talent, right? It's certainly a different mix of talent, and my job is to maximize it, and their job is to execute, and hopefully we can find that middle ground. It's not easy. Great players make it easy. They make it look easy, but it's not easy. And so we're working on it, and hopefully we can get it figured out here. We got like 7-8 days to get it figured out.
There we go. Because like the E's as well. Sorry, I'm interrupting a
No.
little bit. All the E's are like new. Like none of these guys that E allocated have ever been E allocated. So is that an experience? Are you a little bit worried about the experience of that? Like Pierre's still young, JFC's still young, Sixton's still young, Raji's not as young, but still first time being an E for him and Brandon as well. So experience issue with the E's, or is that just not something you consider?
That's an interesting question. I never really thought about it in those terms. Just like, hey, I got to find the best players I can get my hands on. There's a lot of guys out there that we're trying to go after, and got, it's just the nature of the business. The guys that we get and the guys we don't get, and I never actually factored in like, has the guy been an E before? How do they handle that? That's I wish I'm embarrassed to admit it now, but I think we're going to be just fine. Just because somebody hasn't been an E before doesn't mean they can't be an E again. And make no mistake, Juan Flores Calderon is from Madrid, lived in Madrid for 14 straight years, was in Italy for 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't count him as an E, but apparently the league does, so whatever.
Well, we get sad about that, given he's Italian.
I mean,
Gotta be kidding
I
me.
count him as an Italian, but I understand where he's coming from.
Well, nobody else counts Italians as Italians, so
That's true.
Yeah. Anyways.
Before moving on to the rest of the tape, I have another question on Reed, though.
Yeah.
You have built this reputation of being an MVP breeder. If you have a star player on an Andrew Weidinger offense, he's going to be on the MVP talk. So do you think Reed is going to be in the MVP conversation this year? Does he have that? Like, is he that good?
I certainly hope so. A quarterback is subject to a lot of things, right? They're subject to coaching. They're subject to their defense. They're subject to the line. They're subject to their skill players. There's a lot of quarterbacks in Europe who get blamed. This isn't Europe. This is every team that's ever existed in the history of football. Quarterbacks get blamed for the team's problems, right? And so one thing I've seen over here, quarterbacks who have a really bad line in front of them, and it's like, oh, this quarterback's no good. It's his fault, So those guys, there's a lot that goes into that position being successful. With that said, I think that Reed will in all likelihood, emerge as an MVP candidate. If he doesn't, I haven't done my job well, and the rest of us haven't supported him well enough, because he's certainly talented enough to be in that conversation. Also,
Well,
Zach
that's what I wanted to hear. Zach definitely got robbed.
I mean, Glenn got robbed in that first, maybe a little bit in that first season too. But.
Yeah, Zach got robbed. You got to be kidding me. That's the only reason we won all those games. Nah, that's not the only reason. He was a big reason.
This is a better team.
He was a big reason now.
We've talked about Zach getting robbed, so let's get into Zach's tape from 2022. Yeah.
Oh, we're watching Zach now?
There we go.
Yes, we are.
Zach last offseason was living in Phoenix, where I live. Stopped by the house. It was great to have Zach over for dinner. We played some basketball in the backyard with my kid. Oh, this is okay. So right here.
This immediately, as soon as I put it on, Andrew's like, yeah, I'm on.
We've got flank right. I forget. Oh, I'm going to get it wrong now, but it's like flank right, Z Peel, sprint right, Zach attack right here.
The play's called Zach attack?
Yeah. All right. So this is 3rd and 2 to 5. We're going to call this play, and it's got to be on the right hash. So extremely narrow odds of this play getting called. A guy who's a coach for us with the Madrid Bravos on the play before this, and I will not name names, okay, may or may not have dropped a ball. It was hard to tell. It's on the opposite sideline, maybe a tough catch, okay, but it was like, oh, we're going to score a touchdown on this play. Well, as that ball drops or doesn't get dropped, I'm like, oh, shoot, this is 3rd and 2 to 5 on the right hash. Like, here we go. Let's do it. And Cologne played along and let us get what we thought we were going to get. And then Zach going to the pylon putter toss here. Yeah, let this play for just a quick second. This is iconic right here. Look, I love those fans. Love those guys. If you guys are watching, please, somebody reach out to, there it is right there. Somebody from LA, call me, message me. I want you at our games.
Yeah,
Those guys are
it
the
will be
best.
huge to have them.
It would be awesome. It would make my year. Those guys absolutely made it awesome there. I've tried to reach out, guys. I have tried to reach out, and I haven't been able to get a hold of anybody. Please, somebody contact me. One of you Dragons fans.
We can definitely get through to them and
Keep
see
the
if they
word
want to
out.
show
Keep the
up in
word out.
Madrid.
It's not as easy as it sounds. There's a lot of factors there, but I'd like to see if we can't figure something out.
Try and
Would be
turn
nice.
Dragons fans into Madrid fans. That's gonna be a
Dragons.
tough sell.
I mean, just what two great groups of people. Great groups of people.
Did you have any retaliation from fans for after signing with the Bravos, being like a former Barcelona guy?
No, nobody that said it to my nobody that messaged me and said it to me. They might be saying it, I don't know, but I haven't heard anybody say anything.
Right.
And I think everybody kind of understands the situation, right? It is, those players, myself, if we could have stayed in Barcelona forever, we probably would have.
Okay, last play. We're gonna go through. Wait, Matt, do you want to say something?
No, I was going to say about the infusion of the Dragons players coming over as being like great for the depth, including like Mamadou, the defensive end position. I think he's a very talented defensive end. The offensive line depth as well. Like a lot of the guys coming from the Dragons are still within the league, which I think is good.
And it's so great to be around those guys again. I love those guys to death. We had such a great time then, and hopefully we can keep it rolling because that's what a great group of guys.
It was fun to follow the 2022 Dragons. If you create a similar environment this year in Madrid, might become my favorite team this year.
Well, I would hope to not create a totally similar environment, but we could do something like football-wise, something close.
Yeah, nice. Don't want them to do little dances on after the game?
Hell yeah, fire up the TikTok, baby. If we can find a way to win, fire it up. Let's go.
Yes, sir. All right. Last tape right here before we end the Chalk Talk segment, okay?
All right.
This is from a video called Rhyme Fire 2023 Highlights. Oh, here we go. Okay, so nothing happened. There was no ads at all that we cut out. And we're going to show the tape right now, okay?
Is this, I think we're about to throw an incomplete deep down the field to Willie on the right side. Am I wrong here?
You are wrong.
Okay, good.
Actually, I hope you're wrong.
Oh, I know what this was. Okay, so this is going to be Harlan Kofi on the touchdown. Yes. Okay, so all right, so we got a good bead on how Frankfurt's playing us, right? So we motioned the Warthog. Patrick, go back. You got to go back to the top. Got to go back to the top. So everybody in the NFL kind of runs this play. It's called leak. A lot of teams call it leak. Like if you Googled up leak, you'd see it, all right? Let's go ahead and pause it right here. All right, so we got Patrick Perch, the Warthog, and you can tell, it's got kind of like, you ever just Google up a video of a Warthog running, and you'll know why we call Patrick the Warthog, all right? So we bring him over. We know Tony's going to match him. There's Tony Anderson standing there. We know Tony's going to match him in man because this is the man side of their defense. So we're going to drag Tony out of this thing because we don't want Tony to see Harlan coming back across the field. Yazir's setting the edge, line doing a great job selling like it's run and then pass protecting. Willie's job is to grab the corner on this side and get him out of the play, take the corner out and see if you can get the safety out of the play. And then, okay, you can hit play. You can watch Harlan sneak down through. He's coming underneath these linebackers like he's blocked. Oh, he got pushed high. Okay, so he got pushed high and he said, ooh, I got to go right now. Usually you kind of want to sneak through, get behind that weak side curl flat defender and go deep. Harlan got pushed high and said, all right, got to turn on the jets and get running. What a great play by Harlan right there. Great throw by Jay. Great job up front with the protection. There we go. Yeah, let's get a little celebration going.
I think they did a soup.
Yeah, there we go. Nice.
Ronaldo soup.
Nice. Watch out for the ref. What a great football game. There's been two games that I thought were absolutely awesome that I've been involved in within the ELF. That was one of them. That was back and forth until we finally made Frankfurt submit in that game. And then obviously the game against the Stuttgart Surge, they had us on the ropes. They let off, they took their foot off the gas a little bit and we were able to capitalize there at the end. But what a great play by Harlan.
We're going to move on to trivia right now. I'm going to have you feel this grid. Yeah? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. So like I was telling you guys, I saw Jadrian Clark naming all his top receivers, right? And I was like, boy, that would have been a tough one. And he did a great
He missed
job.
only 2.
Yeah, I know. He did a great job. I'm worried right now. I hope I don't offend anyone. I hope I don't screw this thing up.
Promise here, me and Matt are ready to help you out if it's
Perfect.
needed.
Yeah, I'm
trying to do it myself as well. I'm trying to think of which ones I go for.
Right, so we're going to go in order.
Okay.
As you can see, in each intersection is going to be a player that fits both categories. So we're going to start up top, Madrid Bravos, and played in the NFL. Pretty easy.
Yeah, we got Reed Sinet.
Of course.
Yep. That's an easy. Yeah, I like it. Softballs, baby. This is easy. Nice.
Yes, sir. Let's move on. Another easy one to get us started. Madrid Bravos and Barcelona Dragons player. You can probably name half the roster.
Yeah, shoot. And it's totally unfair to everybody else, but I'm going Jordito. Like I tell those offensive guys, Jordito's my boy. Like, there's going to be unfair treatment. I like him better than you. It's just the way it is. He's going to play.
Right, Jordito.
He's going to have to really screw up for somebody to take his spot in the lineup because that's my son.
Is that Heredia?
Yeah, yep. But that's not his name anymore. His name is Jordito. That's it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there is no middle name, no last. Jordito.
All right. Next one, we're going to do a Madrid Bravos player that was left out of the top 100 of the ELF.
Okay, so I wasn't, and I'll get into, I know where we're heading with this. There was, I actually really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the top 100 until my dad called me up. I was like, can you believe they left this guy out of the top 100? But a Bravos guy who was left out of the top 100?
I think I got one.
Geez, I don't even know. Give me
use a lifeline.
I could basically name anybody, right?
Well, pretty much.
Are you trying to lead me to a guy? You leading me to an answer?
Oh, you can use a lifeline and ask Matt. He said he has
Matt,
a guy.
I'd like to throw in a friend.
Was Pablo Araya in the top 100?
I think he was.
He was.
He was? Fuck. All right.
Can we say that? Can we swear on the podcast? Is that allowed? I swear like a sailor. I was trying to dial it back.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
The same thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good players on this team. I have no clue who was actually in the top 100. Was Willie in the top 100? Willie is the top 100 player, obviously. I prefer to go, European guys.
KB, he wasn't in there. Cabancaya, the left tackle.
KB could be in the top 100. KB played a really good game against us in the playoff game last year. He's been doing a great job in camp. KB, come on, KB, get your ass back in the top 100 now.
I like KB.
Right, next one up, we're gonna do play in the NFL and Helvetic Mercenaries.
Yep. Okay, so unfortunately, there's a guy named Chris Selfo who they'd hired as our offensive line coach. I worked for a number of years with the Atlanta Falcons and later in the Alliance of American Football. But he's now at the University of Tulsa. I was looking forward to seeing Selfo, but that's not going to happen. He was my NFL mercenary connection, but now we got Keelan Cole, right? Keelan Cole?
100%, yeah.
Keelan Cole has to be the best player who's ever played in our league, right? I mean, it's not even close. So here's a little, behind the curtain deal. So I thought Adam Humphries was going to come and play for us last year, and then I was trying to get him again this year, and it just didn't work out. Adam had played 7-year vet in the NFL, and unfortunately, Adam had too much money to come and play. So I was very fired. I was like, Adam would be the best player who's ever stepped foot over here. But then he shut me down. So Keelan Cole, he's the new king of the ELF as far as I'm concerned.
100%. We're going to move on to Barcelona Dragons player that has also played with the Helvetic Mercenaries.
Easy peasy. Elvis.
That's what I was thinking too.
Elvis Nunez, baby. We call him a la linea. Got to go flat down the line on screens. Elvis a la linea. That
is not who I had on this one.
Really? Don't have Elvis Nunez as number one? Who was yours?
Yeah,
mine was Carlton Aiken.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Oh, we got more than one.
Obviously.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah. Nunes count too, yeah.
Yeah, damn. I immediately went to Elvis as well.
I talked to Carlton in the offseason briefly. I think maybe Matt got me in touch with Carlton. I don't know if that was you, Matt, or not. It might have been.
It was.
Sound like a great guy.
Yeah, he's nice bloke.
Then we got
Yeah, he's a nice bloke. Yeah,
Super British. Dude, nice. I like it. I might steal that.
Yeah. Next one, we have Helvetic Mercenaries and left out of the top 100.
Tough one.
Yeah, boy, I don't know. I don't know my mercenaries roster.
Let me have a little look. I'll see if I can help out.
The one thing I like about the mercenary, and I can only go back 2 years, that defense they had, and God, is it coach? Oh, I'm gonna get the who was the head coach in Milan last year?
Last year.
He's with
the guy that signed with the
Raiders
Mers.
now.
Yeah,
he was the defense coordinator with the guards at the time. And oh my goodness, I talked to him at the beginning of the offseason. Awesome guy, extremely helpful to me. And he had that defense playing so hard. I know they gave up a ton of points, right? But that was a sneaky good defense, and he was a big part of it. I really admire that guy as a football coach. He did a heck of a job over there. Just a victim of some circumstances. But I could not tell you who a mercenary that was left out of top 100 is.
I have a lifeline for you. We can use, I'm pretty sure he was left out of the top 100. We have a guy that moved halfway through the season.
Oh, yeah.
Off of the mercenaries halfway through the season.
He went up north.
Went up north.
To a rival.
Out of the ELF?
Yeah, rival of yours.
Yep.
I got no idea. I got no idea.
He went to Hamburg.
A mercenary went to Hamburg.
Defensive guy.
Safety.
It's not ringing any bells. I'm so sorry. Is it American?
Yeah.
Is it it's the American that's still in Hamburg?
Yes.
Yes. I should know his name. I spoke to him as well. He was an awesome guy. It was nice talking with him. I'm not good with names, obviously.
Nazir.
Nazir Streeter.
There you go.
Yeah.
You have it on.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Right. Now we're gonna move on to the spicy things. Well, played in the NFL and Ryan Fire.
We had Anthony Mahangu.
Yes, of course.
Is that who we're going for there?
Yep.
Little Tony. I like to call
Barcelona Dragon and Ryan Fire.
Mike Sam, baby.
Oh, okay. That is not the guy I had.
Wait. Oh, I was going Mike Sam as Barcelona Dragon and NFL. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Barcelona. The Iceman, baby.
Of course, exactly. That's who I had.
I was on the wrong 2 squares there.
Right.
Did you catch Anthony? If Anthony's watching, his nickname it's Little Tony. Little Tony.
He's like 6'5".
He's just Little Tony. He's my Little Tony.
I mean, in the post we did last week, Jadrian gave him another nickname. It was the almost 1,000-yard receiver.
So Anthony is as good as anybody who's ever played over here, right? He is awesome, and he blew out his hammy like 20 yards short of it, 30 yards short of it, and he went and he played in the final, and like we had a big 4th down conversion to Anthony, and like it's 4th down, like we're damn near like midfield-ish, and Coach Tom Sula is like, I'm like, we're going for this, right? And trying to talk him into it. He says he agrees to it. And so I turned to Anthony standing right next to me. I'm like, you got a 10-yard in you? He was like, yeah, I do. He hits that 10-yard in. He limps his ass up to 10 yards, hits it inside, catches the 1st down, helps seal that game. What a stud. Absolute stud. Gutting through it.
He's on my Mount Rushmore European receivers. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And here we go. You have the space to talk now. Ryan Fire and left out of the ELF top 100, which was a mess in its all.
And whatever metrics they use, they make this thing, and you kind of like it's like an unwritten thing. You don't really talk about players who aren't on your team, right? But Harlan Quofi got left off this list, and like I said earlier, I wasn't really paying attention much to the list. My dad calls me up and is like, they finished up the top 100. How is Harlan not on that list? Harlan Quofi, in my opinion, he might not be the best player in the league, but he's in the conversation. Like you could absolutely put him in the conversation for number 1 on that whole damn list. The guy is one of the most versatile players in this league. There is nothing that you can ask him to do that he can't do. He could play literally every position on the field. He could line up at offensive line and he'd survive. I'll bet he'd survive. So for him to be left off that's an absolute travesty, a miscarriage of justice. Europe's got a 2-tier justice system, obviously, with the harsh stereotypes against Harlan Quofi, because that guy is an absolute stud. So shame on whoever made that list keeping him off.
Rightfully so.
Could I be devil's advocate and say that he didn't? I didn't have any.
You're just going to sound dumb. You're going to sound dumb. Whatever you say.
He didn't play half the year to be.
Shh. That's
that
true.
Guy.
Really
I love Haaland.
The year getting hurt.
I have Haaland as my number 8 best European in the league as of now.
Number 8?
Yeah, I got.
Who the hell are the other 7 guys?
I got Steven Nielsen.
Jordito's ahead of him receiver. Yeah.
I got Aaron Donkovic. I got ahead of him as well.
Is Aaron playing this year? What's Aaron doing?
He's not playing. Yeah, I know what he's doing.
Playing?
Oh, Chris Malumba above him as well.
We were running some slice plays against him, and I was like, "Who the hell is that guy? Where did they find this dude?"
He's a boy from Colorado.
God, he's enormous.
Harlan's a monster, but he didn't play half the year. He was injured, but I agree he's pretty easy.
And and Harlan's stats are down, right? But a big part of that is because it's like, I know if I ask Harlan to do this aspect of this play, it's going to work no matter who else is touching the ball, right? So we get all hung up on like, oh, he didn't have 1,000 yards, he didn't have 900, whatever it is. Like, no, Harlan, we had 2 MVPs in the last 2 years, and I would argue that 2 different guys on that offense were the MVP, in my opinion. Not to take anything away from all 11. I mean, shoot, what did we have? 20, 30 guys who stepped on the field for that offense.
Yeah.
I would argue that there was 2 other guys who were more important to what we did, Harlan being one of them.
Who's the other?
Rohat not being one of them. Rohat and Sleeves not having anything to do with any of that success.
What about the other one?
Yes.
Other than
Who's
Harlan,
the other? Yeah, exactly.
Yazir Raji. Harlan and Yazir Raji. And that's going to detract. We had Sven, Arnie, Nick. We had old J-Bone. We had David up there on the offensive line. Jasper. And I'm going to forget dudes. We had the Warthog. We had that whole bevy of receivers who were capable of filling in and going into a game and getting us out of trouble. So every last one of those guys contributed, obviously, to those 2 guys having MVP. But everything we did ran through Harlan and Yazir. We called them Yazir and Yazir who can catch. What they had nicknamed themselves. So
I have a question now, though. You said Raji, and you brought Raji to Madrid.
Yeah.
So did you try to recruit Harlan too? Did you phone him, be like, "Hey, come over, please. I need you."
I'd be crazy if I didn't try.
How was that conversation?
I don't even want to talk about it.
I think he plans an extension as well, which is
I don't even want to talk. Don't get me started on multi-year deals for European football players.
Oh yeah.
If you're a player and you're good, don't do something stupid like that. I'm just going to say that. If you're a team, yeah, that's a great idea. If you're a player and you're good, like, don't be an idiot.
Yeah.
Unless it's injury protected and you're going to make sure you get all that money if you get hurt. Like, don't be an idiot. Anyways, that's where I stopped that conversation there.
I was going to say your team's going to be asking for multiple year contracts.
Yeah. I have a question. On Reed's interview on ELF Live, he said there's a bunch of guys on the Madrid Bravos that believe this is the best ever team assembled in Spain. You were head coach of the Dragons in 2022, which is regarded as the best team ever assembled in Spain. So is this team better?
God, I hope so. We're about to find out. I'm like one of those guys where I'm like, you lead into the game, and I'm like, I have no idea how we're going to win this game. Like, I got a horrible game plan. What was I thinking? I should have done this different. I should have done that different. I don't think I coached this well enough. So right now I'm in panic mode. But once we get to game day, I think I'll be good and ready to go. We've got a really talented roster, a lot of great dudes. You know, what I love most about this crew is they are going to fight. They will fight until the bitter end. And so we're going to go out, and we do not care who shows up. We don't care where we got to go to play. We don't care what time the game starts. Let's just get it, put the ball down, and let's go, baby.
Nice.
I mean, on paper, it's a brilliant team. You got to get Witherspoon to reply to me, man. I asked him for tape and he aired me. Like, so I haven't got any tape
Super
on
disrespectful. I'm gonna bench him. I'll bench him.
Unbelievable. Yeah,
I'll handle
please.
this.
I
I'll
asked him
handle
for
this
tape. I was
internally.
like, welcome to Europe. You know, I'm looking for your level lab. I want to put you on the science center. You got any tape? Fucking nothing. So I need to do it. Bench him. Get
I
In Yang. I
apologize.
actually like In Yang now. I'm a big fan of In Yang.
Yeah. Oh, he runs around. We had to tone him down a little bit. He was trying to kill people. Like, hey, you got to wait a few weeks, my man. Not against us.
Like,
Against them. He's going to be a good player. We've got a very talented team. Let's hope that translates into success on the field. And seasons are long, right? Like, we got to, you never know what's going to happen. So it's a long season. But I think we're dialed in. We're locked in right now. And I think we're in a good spot to start it off.
I have one last question before we let you go, Andrew. And I asked this to Jadrian too, and he loved the question, so I got to ask it to you too. Since you're one of the guys that's been in the ELF for the longest time, what is your first memory of the ELF?
My first memory of I'm going to skip first memory of the ELF. I'm going to go the best memory. Best memory of the ELF is we played a game in Reus in southern Spain. And we were playing against the Hamburg Sea Devils. It was late in the season. Maybe it was the second to last regular season game, if not the last regular season game. And
this 2022?
Yeah, and it was pouring rain. I mean, pouring rain, lightning. Like, I'm a little surprised that we kept playing through some of that, but at the same time, it was like, well, we need to get this game over with at some point. Like, we can't just be like, both teams just go home. Like, we got to sell the score, And ultimately, we lost that game. But that group of fans that you saw in the video of the Zach attack there, because it was pouring over there and they didn't have anything to cover them. They came over to our side and they were on our side as we're waiting in the tunnel, singing, having a great time. One of the drummers from that group, the guys that would do the music and the songs and stuff, he had sent me a video of that, and that's one of my favorite things to rewatch in this league. Because that was a cool moment. Those were cool people. That was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. All right, Matt, do you have one last question before we have him sign off?
And my last one is probably for the receiver core, right? It's your background in receivers. I'm a little bit worried about the lack of an X. So, like, is this just going to be a full-on speed offense, or is this going to be people moving around? You're going to have Dragon maybe play a little bit more outside than he usually does? Because you got a lot of speed. You got Aaron, who's a speedster, Jordy, 6'10", who's like more of a possession guy, Flores, who's like a speedster on the outside, but I don't see a natural X. And there's
a lot of ways to skin a cat, baby.
Yeah, that's why I'd ask you. You're a lot more into receivers than I am.
There's no right way or wrong way to win. You just got to score more points than them. It's gonna look different. It's gonna look different than it has in the past. There's gonna be some things that are the same, some things that are different. The system, and I don't even know what people when people say like offensive system. I just think in terms of terminology and everything, we've been able to keep all of our terms and use the same system, if you will. But the play types and how they're executed and where the ball's going, that's going to look a little different. And we got. I hope that we actually have it's an extremely difficult situation in terms of how things are named and the personnel that we use. And so it's been a great challenge trying to figure out how in the world to make this stuff all fit together here over the last few weeks. And a lot of what we do is something that a lot of teams don't do. And so there's not a lot of good tape that other teams are, doing it like this to lean on and make sure that, hey, coach is better than me or coaching it this way. I can steal those ideas. And so it'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting. We'll see how it all shakes out here soon.
All right. Well, Coach, to close up, as we always do, I'm going to give you the floor because every time we say this, the fans are the number one thing. You were talking about the hopefully bring the Dragons fan to Madrid. But in general, I want you to give a message to the Madrid Bravos fans to make them come out to the game.
Yeah, shoot. And not just our fans, but all fans. All football is driven by the fans. The money that fans bring to the games is what is the only reason the teams exist, right? If people aren't in the stands, this thing's going to stop happening. So if you're a fan of the Bravos, if you're a fan of whatever team is your local team, and you want them to continue to exist and continue to survive and possibly thrive, you have to go to the games. You absolutely have to, or else this dream will die. And we're seeing that, there's places where the dream might be dying, and we don't want that to happen across the board. And it all rests on the fans' shoulders. So I know that's a pretty heavy weight to put there, but we would love to have everybody come out. We need everybody to come out. It's beyond imperative that as many fans that are interested in football make their way to the stadium, because it's the only way that we continue to survive.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Coach, for showing up.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me.
We're going to move on to the game pick segment. It was amazing having Matt and Andrew on. It was nice chopping it up with them. But now we're on to game picks. And if you've been following First Down Magazine for the last 2 years, we've been doing game picks with somebody. And I have that somebody here with me. So yet another guest on the first episode of the FDM ELF show. Here is Jamal.
Yo, what's going on, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Good. Excited to see the progression. Now we're on the full shows now. First it was a podcast, now we're doing full shows.
Yes, sir.
First Down Magazine.
All right, let me pull up some picks. We have different choices on some of these. What are you saying? Let's start with let's start with Madrid and Hamburg.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, Madrid and Hamburg. So everyone is very excited about, obviously, at least what I think about Madrid, and rightfully so. You can't discredit what Andrew has done, obviously when he was in Barcelona, when he was with Ryan the past 2 seasons, and now, he's going back to take over the country of Spain and, and work his magic. And the guys that he's brought in, it is a very talented group, and they are playing in a conference that is more winnable than most of the others. For some reason, I think people are overlooking Hamburg a little bit. I think, this is a team that is, very multiple in defense. This is a team that has a lot of depth on offense. Yeah, the offensive line may not be the strongest part of the team, but, we've seen how, if you look at like the Bengals, taking Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell, we've seen how that can overcompensate, when you have weapons. So I think Hamburg's being a little overlooked. I'm not gonna lie, I took a flyer on this one. I think Hamburg might or has the potential to upset Madrid. I think, a lot of people are on the Madrid train, rightfully so, as I mentioned. But I don't know, something about Hamburg that's like, you know what, they might be able to pull this off. So I rocked with it. I went with the Sea Devils for this game.
Switching from our picks to also the guys from Fourth Down Fiasco, Matt Bressington and Alex Malchow, we can see you're the only guy to pick Hamburg in week 1. So you are really riding with them.
Yeah.
I will not, man. I heard Andrew talk. You're going to hear it once the full episode is out. He was exciting to listen to. He's talking about a high power offense, high scoring offense. He's saying what's been his motto for a while, which is, if I'm scoring more points than you, there's no way you're winning the game. And yeah, I'm excited to see Madrid for sure. Hamburg, I agree that they're being undervalued by some guys. They're going to be a better team that people expect them to be. But I don't see them having everything all together in week 1 compared to Madrid. I just see Madrid be more prepared for week 1.
No, absolutely. And they're going to give Kyle Kitchens a boatload of the attention, and he knows that. But at the same time, I think, I think when you look at the secondary, you look at they have a E corner in Rodion Henrique, who could match up on an A. And I know with Andrew, that A is going to be moving around a lot. So it depends, obviously what they're going to do. If they're going to play man, they're going to play zone. It only takes one stop. One stop, ball control on offense for Hamburg. I don't care what anyone says. I'm rocking with Hamburg for this one. I'll ride and die on that one. But we'll see. I'm sure Andrew will probably message me, after the week is over if they do win, and probably talking some mess. But I don't know. I think out of all the games, I think Hamburg has a chance to pull this off.
Nice. What about what I think is the closest game of the week? And the picks are riding with me because it's only me and Matt who picked Tyrol. You, Alex, and the fourth down fiasco guys went for Munich. So why'd you go for Munich there?
Yeah, I think, for people who've been following the ELF since the beginning, this is not a rivalry yet. I personally don't think so. I think people were too easy to throw that word around. I don't think this is a rivalry yet. I think it's getting there, though. I think for people who's been following the ELF since the beginning, this is turning into what the Wrocław Panthers Hamburg Sea Devils rivalry used to be. The black and blue game, the more physical game, the game where there's a lot of bad blood between these two teams. I think that's what Raiders and Munich is turning into. And it's good for the Raiders because obviously they're having troubles beating, their rivals in Vienna, which dates back to pre-ELF.
Are you saying they need a rivalry where they can compete in?
Yeah, they as of right now, they need someone that's on the same level right now. And
yeah,
obviously,
I agree.
Seeing how the game in last year with the Raiders with the Ravens beating the Raiders to get into the playoffs. We'll see how this pans out, but a lot of changes with both teams. New quarterbacks, some familiar faces to the league. New quarterback for Munich, a guy who they plan to have there for a long period of time, and Russell Tabor with a 3-year contract. We'll see. But two defensive-minded head coaches. This is gonna be a good one. I think they might split the series just like they did last year. So I'm gonna give it to the home team, and I'm gonna rock with the Ravens this week.
It's early. It's gonna sound crazy what I'm about to say, but I think this game is gonna have huge playoff implication coming down to the end of the year. The rivalries, the games like this where it's teams that are gonna be at the top of their conference or fighting to get into the playoffs, it's gonna be huge to get these wins over your close rivals.
Yeah, and I think if I could go back to that Madrid game real quick, how they beat Hamburg, that tell me a lot about their team, because I think they're in a conference that is more physical than people think, and I think with the mindset of trying to outscore people, perfectly fine. I think that provides more of a finesse offensive mindset in regards to high power offense again, which is fine, totally nothing wrong with it. But you got a Munich team, you got a Raiders team that want to run the ball, that want to be physical. And if Madrid could play that type of game, or they could have those teams play their type of game, that's going to tell me a lot about who's going to come out of this conference. Helvetic obviously still has a lot to catch up on, but how Madrid plays against Hamburg and how these two teams beat each other up is going to give us a glimpse of how this division is going to play out.
All right. Now, for all the other games, we have all the same picks, apart from one, which is probably the best game on this week one. Rheinfire against Paris. We have Alex Malchow, who unfortunately cannot be here right now to defend himself. He is the only guy riding with Paris. What do you think about that?
Yeah, to be honest, this one was a hard one for me because when you look at the guys that Paris is signing, and even when they signed Jalen, obviously one of the most anticipated players, like before Paris joined the league, Paris, the location was the most anticipated franchise. Now they get one of the most anticipated players, not only join the ELF, but join Paris. And when you think about the difference between Jalen and Zach, is how big is the gap in terms of skill set? Two different play styles, but in terms of skill set, how big is the gap? So then you rely back on the homegrowns. All right, what are they going to do with the homegrowns or the Europes to improve this team? Because if you keep the same guys and just replace the quarterbacks, how much of a difference is that going to put you over the edge? right? At least that's my mindset going into it. But you see the guys that they're signing that's starting to trickle out. They
That's
have
what
an
I was going to
athletic,
say.
they have an athletic linebacker group. We don't know who their other A is on defense currently right now as we're recording this. It may be announced before
I hope
the
so.
game.
We're a week out.
Yeah, exactly. I think offensively, when you see what they've done with Mavumbu and Cantor, that tells me Del Rio wants to be more of a run-heavy, physical type of guy. Maybe we'll mix in with a little play action, which is not what we saw from him last year. So, with all that being said, and you look at the coaching matchups, the players, you want to see if Paris is actually going to take the next step. I still physically have to see it happen. I still physically have to see it happen. And I know that Ryan Fire, again, lost 2 MVPs. I get it. Chad Jeffries is not that big of a drop-off from Jadrian, I don't think, personally. Right? I think Chad Jeffries is a very underrated quarterback. Almost beat Paris last year in the playoffs. I think he'll be just fine. And don't forget, defense wins championships. Majority of that defense returned, and they got even more athletic on the defensive line. So that's why that one was a hard one. I'm not gonna lie, but I rock with the Fire to stay put at least until I see it happen.
I'm gonna need your pick for what's the game of the week for week 1. What's the game that you have only 3 hours in the whole weekend? I got a schedule to get one game in. What game you watching?
Yeah, I'm definitely watching this Fire Paris game. This is the game. This is the game with the brightest lights, the most storylines, the most Hollywood stars like on the field, right? I get Jack Del Rio versus Jim Tomsula. I get Jalen Henderson, the most decorated European quarterback over the past couple of years, coming into the best league. Touchdowns. Yeah, coming into the league, replacing a ELF legend to try to lead Paris, to a championship versus Chad Jeffries, replacing another legend, right? The most decorated ELF quarterback in Jadrian Clark and what he's done. You got tons of talent on the field, tons of speed on the field. We get Bua, Kofi, Mitchell.
Man, I forgot Bua was in there too.
Yeah,
it's gonna be such a game.
Yeah, so I think that when you break it down in terms of the players and like the sides of the ball, the biggest question mark when you think about it, right? The biggest question mark and the most unproven side is that Paris defense.
Yeah,
no one knows what they're gonna do. All right,
but they do have Jack Del Rio.
Yeah, they do got Jack Del Rio. So we'll see. We'll see if he calls defense, right? And then Coach Warner, who they brought in, who's coached at Ohio State under Meyer. He's his offense. It's a lot of movement. It's a lot of pull. It's a lot of power. It's gonna be a lot of counter gas schemes. So we'll see. It's gonna be. This is gonna have the feel for a week 1 game. This is gonna have the feel of an ELF championship type of game with everything that's being presented to us. Like, don't get me wrong, that Frankfurt-Stuttgart game I think is a great game too. But the Fire,
Hamburg Madrid too.
Yeah, Hamburg Madrid, but Fire Musketeers is a great matchup.
Yeah, and I think it's like this week, Fire versus Paris. It's like a very cool game. Everybody wants to see it, and it's like gotta be the game to watch. But the whole year we're gonna have so many matchups that are like it's gonna be tough. Like this week 1, we have Frankfurt against Surge and Madrid against Hamburg. These are gonna be amazing games too. Like I'm expecting them at least to be very tough games and very entertaining games too. It's just there's so much at stake, as you said, on Paris against Fire, which is like makes it more interesting. Absolutely. Now, I'm gonna have to put you on the spot. Who is your player to watch for this Paris against Rhine Fire game?
This one's a tough one. Player to watch.
There's so many star talent. So much star talent.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this, and it could kind of go both sides. All right, so I'll give you 2 players. For Paris, my player to watch is gonna be Austin Mitchell. Right. Ryan Fire, typically they spin their two ways at safety, which normally means they're going to go too high most of the time. Cover 4, cover 2. Sometimes they'll roll the safety down, but most of the time they're going to have those two Americans back just ball hawking, right? With that being said, Jalen Henderson, obviously, we've seen what he's able to do. That's going to limit him maybe pushing the ball downfield as much as he would like. But again, with who they have at the backfield with Cantor and Vavumbu, they're not putting all that pressure on Jalen, maybe as what they did with Zach in the past with having to make a play, right? So where am I going with that? That tells me Austin Mitchell could potentially have a big game in the sense that he's going to be matched up against either an E/homegrown or Tony Anderson, right?
Yeah.
So where does his speed come into the play? How is he gonna? Are they gonna use him as a decoy to just take the top off, or are they gonna try to get him the ball quick in the short game and let him work? If they do that, on the other side of that, Tony Anderson, right? How do you defend him, right? Yeah. Especially in man. If they're playing man to man, it goes to Austin. He's too quick. No, Tony's a great nickel. Austin's too quick. All right, those shifty guys are quick. But if they play more zone, then it's like, all right, like keep the ball in front, rally, tackle ball, play the next play. So I think I'm going to give you a player to watch. It's going to be the battle, if we see it, between Austin Mitchell and whoever is covering him, or how they're going to defend Austin in the slot.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to go a different way with it, though. I want to see Chad Jeffrey lead the Ryan Fire. You get gifted a team who has a great organization, and they've won the last 2 years. So good stuff, meaning you have great players already within the team and a great culture. But at the same time, a lot of pressure. You need to step up. You need to win. The Ryan Fire fans are not expecting to go 8-4. They're expecting to lose like 2 games max. You need to be on it every single week, especially in such a tough league as it is this year. So I want to see Chad Jeffries. I want to see how he deals with the pressure, because he's always been that, he's very good, but he just didn't get the best team or the best coaching or whatever. He's always been the underrated great quarterback. Go out there and prove to me that you are the great quarterback that people expect you to be. So that's what I want to see.
And they picked you for a reason. If knowing the history of the Fire, that organization, how they operate, their fans, their standards, their expectations, they picked Chad for a reason. They believe in Chad.
100%.
I think it's going to be interesting to see the Chad and Jalen battle. So we'll see how it pans out.
Yes, sir. Well, that was the game picks for this week, guys. Make sure to stick around. Leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Stay tuned, because let me tell you, week 1, I'm going to Madrid for that Hamburg against Madrid game. And in the week 2 show, like prior to the week 2, we're going to have a little segment where I'm going to show you my experience of going to the game and having fun and all of that. So make sure you stick around for that.
Let me give you guys one quick nugget to think about heading into week 1.
Let's go.
There's one team in the ELF that since the beginning has not lost their opening game. All right. They're 4-0. They're on upset alert this week. I'm not gonna lie. I was hesitant to pick them, but I did. But I think the Panthers could be on upset alert against the Enthroners this week. The only reason why I picked the Panthers is because I don't know who on the Enthroners is going to cover Darnell Stewart Jr. You see what they did with their D-line. I think they'll do whatever they can to stop the run and keep DJ in the pocket. But I don't know who's going to cover Darnell Stewart Jr. So we'll see. But they got some weapons, and Throners are a different team. They're better, and they're going to be interesting to watch. But the Panthers could be on upset alert. I'm just going to say that now.
All right. I'm recording an interview next week with Coach Kuligowski. I'm going to make sure to show him this clip and see what he thinks about it.
All right. Coach, I love you, by the way.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, Jamal. And thank you, everybody, for watching. If you're sticking around and you're still here, leave a like, join the conversation in the comment, drop a subscribe. And let's get into this season. Come on. I'm so excited.
Most definitely.